Good morning and welcome to DualiTEA. I'm your host, Akasha, and I'm here with our very special guest, Alex. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited for, hold on, let me speak in the mic. Here we go. Me doing the thing. I'm very happy to have you here. It's been a journey upon meeting you.
Yeah.
And it's been an honor to do so.
Bro, I was like looking through my photos, and you remember when you made your first flat white? I have that picture.
Oh.
I have that picture.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh, can you send that to me? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That just like warmed my whole heart. Yeah, that's, I wasn't ready for that. Oh, you're being so heartbroken now.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, one day at a time. One day at a time. But yes, welcome to DualiTEA in this space where we speak of all things in all ways.
Yeah.
Finding balance in whatever it is that we ourselves struggle with or thrive in, and that anybody needs to hear at any point. We love you, Lori. We love you. And so as I met Alex, I had this like sense of like, yo, sis like really is just like a whole intuitive being just walking around, just like providing every area with like supplying with this Piscean like intuitive energy, and like doesn't even fully realize it to the extent of like the amount of what she's doing. She's just fully walking around like the high priestess in all areas. And I was just like, wow. And from the get, because like we met in a work setting, and it's like, I don't know if we could say like actual names of places. So I'm
Got
just gonna be like, in a place where we're baristas. Well, you're a shift, but yes. And yeah, like from the get, I was just like, wow, I feel like I know this person. And throughout the time, it's just been like more unraveling of like that interaction, and I'm just really grateful to like know you, and also like the moments in which sis has held it down. Deep sigh. It's just so funny how, the conversation we had leading up to this podcast is like two very predominant times in which, things were held down and intuition was like affirmed. And I feel like not only do you affirm like everyone around them's intuition, but like you as a being, like, being on your journey of crown, and I'll let you, speak on that, whatever you want to say on that. But
oh my God, that was something. That was something. In every sense of the word, that was something. The first night, she dropped the bowl off to me, and I didn't play it. I didn't do anything. I just kind of put it in the room, and I went to sleep. And that was like just one of the many nights of having just wild dreams, like having visions. Of course, thank you. Having visions, just like tapping into this like this energy, this air. It was just something crazy. And thank you for putting me on that.
Of course. Sis, it was just like, it wasn't even, of course, it would have been a choice of mine, but it wasn't even. Like, it was just, like, such a direct, like, you need to give this to sis. That's just it, For those who are aware or aren't aware of what we're referring to, there's a band that we're in, a Crystal Bowl band, and it shifts, and it was time for, it's kind of like the Crystal and Atlantis is like way I like to see it, or the sisterhood of the traveling bowls. Like, these are two terms. How the Crystal and Atlantis like calls Kita to like, the crystal's like, it pulls her, it calls her, right? It's like, that's what these crystal bowls do to us. It's like, we'll just know who's supposed to come in next. There'll be an episode on that, so stay tuned, because it's just too much to unpack in here. But yes, if you know, you know. If you don't, you'll know soon. And so she was chosen to step into crown chakra and embody that, and like she already embodies that naturally. So it was like really interesting to see her like step fully into her power in that way of just being reminded of what was already within her was really, really beautiful and awesome. And it's just so awesome to see that happen to anybody, you know, because it's like the more that we do that, the more that people around us do that, because like attracts like. And when you're embodying something, you're either going to attract people that are embodying it or help raise the vibration, which other people then adapt to and raise themselves up as well.
Yeah.
Remembering that we don't actually raise anyone up, they do it themselves. Like we can raise the vibration of an environment, but you know, as anybody that classifies with titles, they're not titles, but understands the healing modalities, it's like we're not healing anybody, we're healing ourselves. You know, we're healing our lineage through us, but it's always through us. You know, we're healing our generation, but it's through us. Like we don't go and heal someone else. Like there's no taking responsibility of someone else's healing. That's their choice whether to do it or not. We can provide the space for it, you know, and that's in my opinion what true like healing and authentic healers kind of live by. So just to like speak that into that space is just, it's always the person's job. You know, you can want people to rise up and do a bunch of things, but they have to want to do it. They have to want to do it the same way we do. We know that we do things that we want to do. We don't do things that we don't want to do. And that's just life, you know. It's either we're listening to our intuition or we're not. And
that's on period.
So what happens when we don't listen to our intuition?
Blockage is the only word that really comes to mind. Just straight up blockage. A sense of, yo, I'm always bugging and none of this is real. You know what I mean? Like none of this is in the actual reality that I live in. And I was on that for a while, you know, because like growing up, I was always able to see spirits, entities, all of that. And I guess always being able to see it and just kind of being like, okay, cool, it's not there anymore if I don't look at it, but it's there, but I'm not going to look at it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's just a form of blockage, and having Crown really removed that, and having Crown just unlocked this like next level of seeing, if that makes sense. Yeah. For sure. It was crazy. Because like one of the few times that, not few, but one of the many times I played Crown, I hit it and then a vision came to me and it was of my friend being on some, oh, hey, I'm ready to move in with you. And I was just like, okay, because that wasn't a conversation we had. All right, cool. I go into work the next day and she comes up to me like in this whole energy of, wow, I just found out something crazy. Cool. We're moving in together. Let's move in. I'm ready to move in. I'm just like, had a vision about this, had a whole dream about this. Okay, cool. I'm in this. You know what I mean? And I think that's when I realized I had a full vision, is that I embodied Crown. Because I didn't know it from the jump. You know what I mean? Just me on my, I guess it is what it is.
Crown and Third Eye are both big That's So Raven moments. Mm-hmm. Like they like big.
And in that moment, like, it was just kind of like a That's So Raven moment. It was just like,
it's
and then back into reality.
It's how the bulls were even birthed in general. Yeah. Like I had my That's So Raven moment, and it was just like, and it's like, it's interesting to just trust that. You know, when we're told not to trust that, or like that's your imagination, you're you know, adding to that. And something that I think is really important to note, especially when we have like visions or when we see different things or when we're tuning in to our intuition, is like we're just listening rather. How you can decipher what is your mind adding things and what just is like spirit will be like, doors open, period. You know what I mean? But your own mind will be like, why is the door open? Is the door open? Is the hinge even okay on this door? Do I need to add WD-40 to this hinge because I don't understand? Like, that's our mind, you know? Just
taking this one very, like, simple thing and then adding it to 1,000.
Exactly. It's like when it's spirit talking, it's just like, open the door. Mm-hmm. Period. Like that's it. That's really it. You know, and it's like when I think it's important to be aware of that because and use that as a tool when we're like discerning, especially for those who read other people, because you don't want to project anything. You want to stay in like, as far away from self-centeredness. You want to just be the conduit and the channeler. And even when you're receiving a vision, like you want to make sure that you're not coming from this like biased space and that you're just, you know, it's very it's for everyone's benefit, and it's not jaded by our own traumas and things like that. So it's like, it's important, I feel like, to kind of clear those gates in those ways. I like just raising our vibration in different ways, like eating clean foods, and or adding like fresh foods and like fruits and different things to our diet, and having teas and meditating and doing sound healing and whatever it is that resonates with you. Sound healing can also be playing a guitar, you know, like it doesn't have to be limited to like spiritual instruments. Every instrument is spiritual. Every vibration is healing. It's, you know, if you allow it to be. Not every vibration is healing. Let me rephrase that. That's not real. But like, you know, any high vibrational thing that is being used with the intention of healing is going to be healing. So it's just important that we just note that and clear the way for our intuition, because our intuition's always going to come through and be its best self, and it's like we tend to filter it, you know, to filter it, and it's important that we don't, you know, or do our best to like not filter it as much as possible, because we feel like either other people can't handle it or we're afraid to say it the way it is. And 99% of the time when we just say it like as it is, it's like the purest and the most accurate. You know, it's when we just let it simmer in our minds where it kind of can get like mixed up. So it's important, you know, to make space for that. And then as it comes, and then, you know, you listen to it, and then you've seen what happened right before it happened. So it's like,
and to like trust it, because that was my biggest thing. I was having trouble trusting the process and like really letting it be what it was, and not trying to, I guess, put my human in it and alter it, if that makes sense. And that on its own was a journey, like, because in a way it was just not trusting intuition, it was also trusting myself, you know, because it was a lot. So I was just like, nah, I'm bugging out. And my inner self was just like, nah, this is it right here. We vibing. Like, we're doing the thing. And having Crown was just something otherworldly. That's the only way I could put it, you know? It was just something very different. And I like that how it was my entryway into this group. I enjoy that a lot, so thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, that's like, that was Spirit's pathway, you know, and we were just the conduits of that. It was like so apparent. I was just like, I said for mad long, I was like, yeah, you know, it's like, you know, I think even like, I just like, I felt it for so long. It was like, it's just so loud at me right now. And one day it's going to just open up and be the space for it. So I'm happy that it did. And now, you know, we shifted and we're at different places now and different bowls now, and things are happening. Tell us how you really feel.
Shifting into a new bowl and just shifting into like a new chakra is something. Because I think, how'd that conversation go? I don't remember. I remember being in bed and I'm just like, wow, you know what I could really use? Some unlocking of some trauma. Let's do it. Oh, heart chakra? Is that you? And it was just kind of like, oh, yeah, it's me, sis.
Oh, I asked you what colors.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And it was, that was Crown. That was like purple or blue. It was between Third Eye and Crown.
Throw in Third Eye. And
yep.
And you were like, I feel like I want to say blue, but I need purple. Which is literally exactly how I felt about that at the time, too. Because, you know, I feel like throat chakra will also make its way, which it will for all of us. But, you know. But, yeah, it's interesting, like, when it's time to change and to shift into a new space, like, whether it's, you know, for us into these new bowls, it's, like, also very symbolic of just, like, what we're shifting into in our lives. You know, it's, like, for me, shifting into this space of, like, really believing in myself and trusting myself in, like, a very, like, physical embodiment way. I'm looking forward. And I'm doing that and looking forward to doing that more. So, you know, and it's just like, that's just an example of other things. It's like, how do we show up when we are changing, which is kind of like what last episode was about, adaptability, is like, when things are changing, are we moving with them and just accepting them and then moving and grooving and keeping it going? Are we like, oh, no, this didn't go how I wanted it to. I'm mad. I'm frustrated. Everything sucks. You know, it's like, how are we going to go about it? And the most easeful way, just accept things as they are, as they come. You know, it's like you're supposed to be one place at a certain time. It's like, of course, you can sit there and beat yourself up in your head, like how I could have woke up early and how I could have done these things earlier. Or you can literally just show up and be as present as can be and get things done right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you drag anything in any point with any space like that, like it's detrimental to you and everyone else, and it's counterintuitive. Like you know you shouldn't do that, but yet like our self-sabotage kind of coping mechanisms will like kind of drag us a little bit. And I feel like that's what hinders a lot of people from speaking and listening to their intuition in general, is that way of being. And then also like our parents and the generation that came before us, and like how they were raised and traumatized, and and then certain people being more open to other people. And then you have the opposite spectrum where there's like, there's the people that don't want anything to do with listening to your intuition, or some people would just say listen to your gut and still not even realize what it is that they're saying. And or there'll be people on the other spectrum that are like, even exploiting that, the fact that you do have the intuition. So it's also like guarding your intuition as well, and knowing that it's worthy of something, and that be an exchange of some sort, so that you don't feel depleted. Even if you don't consider yourself a reader, even if you don't consider yourself someone who should get paid for a service, it's like you don't have to consider yourself anything to just know that like you're worthy of having an equivalent exchange. So if someone's coming to you for anything, like they should absolutely be giving something in return, so that you feel fulfilled, so that it feels good for you, your guides, and everyone that's connected with you, and the person that's doing that. So I think that that's important when honoring our intuition. Listening to it is like providing like that gratitude and that thanks towards spirit and towards ourselves. It's like that time at your altar, or if you don't have an altar, the time when you're sitting with yourself and you're praying, or you're sitting in front of the ocean and you're thinking, whatever you want to call it, like to just give thanks. Like I like to do physical things because I like to do physical things, and it makes me do like mental and emotional and spiritual things. It helps me in that way. So that's why I like to like cater to my altar and kind of like consult with my intuition to like hear clearly and like discern. It's like a 3-dimensional vision board, yeah, intuition
Indeed. On my journey, before even accepting the bowls, I think I told you about this. I was depriving myself of building my altar just because I wasn't sure of this new entryway of a journey I was going to be on. You know what I mean? And really just not trusting myself at all to maintain and do this in a good way, And I was just like, yeah, no, I don't think it's time for that. I don't think it's time for that. And then one day I was just putting it together and I was bawling, and I was just like, I've been depriving myself of this. And it was just kind of, okay, deprived myself of this. And then you asked me about the bowls, and I was just like, I'll get back to you. And then I was just like, nah, I'm ready. And that was all in the same week of building the altar, being emotional about it, and then being like, okay, next step is doing what I need to do, which is be crowned. And that was a journey. And that was rough. So I can only imagine how hard it's going to be, because I don't do emotions. I do not do emotions.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm sure it'll be gentle because it is gentle,
Mm-hmm.
The heart is gentle, but it's also fierce, It's also like take no shit, So it's like it'll create that space for you to do so. I just stepped out of heart, and when I was stepping in the heart kind of conversation we were having on the way here, it's like the thing about heart is thing about our heart chakra is when we're focusing in on our heart chakra, it's important to note it's going to take away our attachments and make space for actual connections and unconditional love. So we can think that we love or have, get confused with love and attachment and what that looks like and what that feels like and how it shows up in our life. That could be certain family relationships and dynamics, that could be friendships, that could be workspace, that could be relationships, you know, that we deep down know something is kind of off, and it'll either elevate it and show you what you need to work on and what that person needs to work on just simultaneously from you working on it, or it will show you that you need to not be there anymore. So it's like that could be scary at times, you know, because you're like seeing things that you have your nails dug into, like kind of like retract and get pulled away, but it's like to make space for what is really there for you and what is like the most highest beneficial thing for you, and that is to receive and be worthy of love in that way, you know, to be worthy of unconditional love. And you know, love is heart chakra is also about grief, you know, it's also about grief and what we keep stored in this area. It's not just love and light and like healing. It's like, what do you need to do to get there? What do you need to do to like clear out the muck to make space for you to even heal yourself in that area, you know? But the thing about heart is that it does it in a very like, yo, you're safe though, you know, way. So I encourage you to like think of it in that way. It's not going to be like it won't beat you like root will. Like it won't beat you like the lower chakras. The lower chakras beat I feel like they're like very like, once you get to heart, it's like, okay.
Now that you went through that,
now that you
got jumped in the back.
Now that you got jumped by the last 3 chakras, now we'll let you breathe. But yeah, and it's like it's a journey, and it can be difficult at times to listen to our intuition because it makes us have to face really, really deep truths. Mm-hmm. That can seem intimidating. But if that's what you prayed for, you know, you have the courage, you have the ability, the strength, the willpower to do so and to follow through, and you deserve to give yourself that, you know, and that goes for anyone listening. When you feel something, like, listen to yourself. Like, I remember even, like, prior to, like, understanding or knowing more, I guess, like, spiritual lingo or whatever. Like, I remember being, like, I think it was 17 or 18. I think it was 18. And I remember being, like, Laura's like, nah, hold on. First of all, Third Eye was in a whole Uber by herself yesterday. Like, I just can't. I just literally cannot. That is, like... But yeah, that's another conversation. But yes, well, I remember when I was like 18, I was at a party. I was at this house party, and all of a sudden, I just felt like I need to go. I just need to go. And right after I left, like, it was so many things happened, so many violent things happened, like, at that party, where I was like, yo, wow. Like, if I would have not listened to myself, if I would have stayed there half hour longer, like, I don't know what would have happened, you know? And I remember just always having instances like that. Like, I remember being little and people knowing that of me, like, without me even believing in myself, people would know to listen to me because I would tune into my intuition. They would be like, oh, no, you'll say something and then it'll happen, so I'm going to listen to you. Yeah. Meanwhile, I would have a hard time listening to myself. But, like, other people around me had seen the results of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, it took a little bit. It takes a little bit. I feel like, you know, it's either my personal perspective. I see people either, like, believe in themselves, I don't want to say way too much, but I mean, like, believe in their mind way too much, rather than their intuition, right? And then there's people that will have the balance of both.
100%.
And then there's the people that don't believe in their intuition.
Yeah, because I feel like there's a difference between knowing you don't want to be somewhere and shouldn't be somewhere versus, I just don't feel like going.
Just thinking it.
Yeah.
Thinking it. Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest thing with my mom, too. She'd be like, yo, if you really feel like you don't want to go, don't go. Mm-hmm. Because that means something's going to happen that could have been avoided if you just simply listen to yours. Yeah. It was Mama Duke's just dropping gems, you feel me? Yeah. Just, yo, don't do it. Straight up. feel like you don't want to go to work, and if you genuinely feel like that and it's not your human doing it, don't go to work. Mm-hmm. And there's several times where I like ignored that and wish I listened.
Yep.
Especially with parties, you know what I mean? Oh, man. But yeah, just really just listen. And I think that's the hardest part, you know, just listening. Wait, no, did Third Eye really just be placed in an Uber?
Okay, so if we're gonna address this real quick. So Nicole, she wasn't able to go to the meeting, and she said, so there's this new option in Uber where you can send things like packages and stuff, like so that yeah.
I didn't know
I didn't know it either. So she hit me. She's like, "Yo, I'm about to send an Uber for Third Eye," and I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Like, how is this allowed? Like, what is this?" She's like, "Yo, it's allowed. It's a thing. Just they're gonna call you when they're outside." I'm like, "Okay." So I just like I put Third Eye in like this coconut box and like or whatever it was like in the Hot Topic bag. Like, it was just a whole thing. And I'm like, I go outside. And there's a whole Uber, and he's like, I go over to him, and I'm like, can I put her right here? Like,
please direct me, because I'm new.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, no problem, right here, it's fine, you know. I was just take care of her, you know. Yeah, I got you. I'm like, cool. I just like walk back, I'm like, okay. You know, but it was just like,
yo.
So like literally, Third Eye, Crystal Bowl, went across the Verrazano in an Uber by herself. Because that is just like, and I love the confidence in everybody. We're all like, obviously, it's fine. Like, it's fine. Just do that. It's Third Eye. We know Third Eye would have let us know if there was going to be an issue. And she's obviously going to get there safe, which she did, you know? So that's that story. So that's also another thing of honoring your intuition.
Yeah.
Third Eye
trusting yourself to put something so special into a random Uber and being like, okay, yeah, no, it's going to be cool.
And fragile, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, Nicole is the one. I love her so much.
Of course, it's Nicole. It's like, oh my God. I literally kept thinking about it later on that night and just texting her, like, yo, I'm still not over it. Like, real Sag girl shit. Like, it's Sagittarius as hell. You know, it's just.
She's like, nah, it's gonna be so good.
Didn't even question. She was like, I know. It's fine.
Yep.
I'm like, I trust too. You know, it's like, that's the thing. Is like, the more you trust yourself, the more that others trust you as well. Because you're embodying trust within yourself. You know, it's like, sometimes even when you don't trust yourself, people trust you, which is crazy because they see you, you know, they like really see you. And that can help, you know, you also trusting yourself, and then vice versa, you know, and then the more you trust yourself and trust your intuition, the more someone else will trust themselves and their intuition. So it's like just important to listen to ourselves. And I know it's corny and something that's said all the time, but it really is a thing. Like, it's like, listen to yourself. You are telling yourself the truth. Like, listen to yourself. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to what you think about when you think you're daydreaming or you're just dozing off or you're spacing out. Like, you're thinking of something. What are you thinking about? You know, why are you thinking about it? It's important. It's important to, like, view that and give it space to, like, be. Because our intuition is speaking to us in all of the clairs, like clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, you know, hearing things, knowing things, just innately knowing, like smelling, tasting, seeing. It's all of them, all the clairs. It's like, how is your intuition speaking to you? No one can discern that for you besides you. Doesn't matter if there's anybody that is claiming to like be able to tell you any of that. Like, you are gonna be the one who tells you. Like, don't waste your money on that. Sit with yourself. You will save yourself a lot of money if you sit with yourself, and then you'll know when it is time to actually invest in services outside of yourself. When you sit with yourself, instead of just throwing money everywhere in hopes that you're gonna find who you are through someone else. And that's a real thing, Like, that's a real thing, you know, and I could speak from experience. At times feeling lost and, like, feeling like I need to go to a whole bunch of people and get readings and get this and get that. And because I didn't feel like I was a credible source. I didn't feel like I was enough to provide that space. Didn't matter how many years, didn't matter how much studying, didn't matter how much in-person work. It didn't matter. Like, it was like I would feel like I needed to go somewhere else. And it's just learning. And the more you sit with yourself, you're like, oh, no matter what, even if it's a person that knows me, even if it's my sister, my mother, my brother, whatever it is, they could help. They could sprinkle advice into your life and help you, but no one's going to help you the way your intuition is. It's literally built for it. It's like sole purpose
is
in
to help you.
Is to, like, help get you on track and in gear. So definitely take that time to listen to self. Definitely take that time to, like, you could call it meditation, you can call it whatever you want, but just literally pausing and breathing and seeing what comes up and not giving up on yourself, especially in that moment, because we'd be like, oh, I don't like to meditate. I don't want to meditate. I don't have time to meditate. Okay. So what are you delegating your time to? And if you're delegating your time to literally everything and anything else, and including, like, scrolling and just getting invested in anyone and anything else besides yourself, but yet you want to connect with yourself, like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? How do you expect anything to, like, you need to find that balance. You need to bridge it. People are not going to just, like, create something and hand it to you and it's going to be done. Like, you need to put in the work. What does the work look like? Catching yourself, avoiding yourself. What do you do after that? You forgive yourself for doing that, because if you just catch yourself and then you just beat yourself up, you're just going to be in this vicious cycle. You have to balance your shadow work with your light work, says to self and everybody else. It's like you got to do. You can't just do one. If you're just doing one, it's going to just look like depression. It's going to just look like isolation. It's going to just look like self-hatred. And acknowledge, okay, I'm self-aware, but I also, like, can't stand myself. Okay, well, maybe let's focus now on what are my good traits. Well, I'm really sweet. Well, I'm really this. Well, I'm really enthusiastic. I'm passionate about things. I love helping other people. You start thinking about those things. Every time you take something, you unpack something that is, like, deep within yourself that hurts, you know, that you're like, damn, like, this is a secret. I don't want anybody to ever know this about myself. Then think about what you want people to know about yourself and counterbalance it. You know, you will only get further and further deeper into understanding and hearing the voice of your intuition the more you accept yourself as you are. Yeah.
That hit. Because, like, while having Crown, it was a lot of shadow work. And the shadow, like you said, shadow work quickly turned into self-hatred. And, wow, I'm a garbage person. Wow, I need to fix this. But it's also like, wow, I'm not that trash if I just do a little bit of light work to balance that out. Like you said, balance is crucial and is key to being a better version of yourself. And that was the hardest thing to learn, you know what I mean? Because being so knee-deep in the trenches of shadow work, you're just like, wow, how does anyone surround themselves with me? And it's just like, I attract people, so there's some good traits that I need to recognize and be proud of, you know?
And the fact that you're even doing the work in general
is
something to be like, it's like, yo, I every time, because I catch myself doing it, and then I see it within, like, all the people around me, and especially it's like, if you're that way, you're going to, like, know and be around people that are that way. You know what I mean? And the people that aren't that way, you'll realize you're not as close with them, right?
Yep.
So it's like, if I'm over here, like, in the pits doing mad shadow work, which, you know, for those who aren't aware of what shadow work is a coined phrase by Carl Jung, a psychologist, and that studied the subconscious, you know, and it's about unpacking the subconscious and unconscious, like, traits within ourselves that are kind of, like, origin in, you know, you could look at Sigmund Freud as well. The different parts of ourselves, different archetypes, and different sources of trauma usually based in our childhood. and how they kind of show up, you know, how our ego is fighting to protect ourselves. And it's not to alienate and bash our ego. It's not to be like, ego, you're bad, gonna kill you. It's like, no, it's like, yeah, we need it, you know? We need it to live. So just to like bring light to also what shadow work is in case anybody isn't aware of that. And light work, in case anyone's not aware of that word, is, you know, applying what we like about ourselves, uplifting ourselves. Being like, oh wow, this is great about me, I love me. Speaking affirmations, doing things like that. It's like the same way you unpack in shadow work and you ask yourself why. You ask yourself why in shadow work and you tell yourself why in light work, if that makes sense. In shadow work, you're like, well, why am I doing this? In light work, you're like, I'm doing this because X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm doing this because I want to be a better person. At shadow work, okay, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I felt abandoned as a child, and this is bringing up abandonment issues. So therefore, I'm behaving this way because I don't want to be left alone, because it, you know, whatever case is. And then light work would be, I am safe alone, and the reason why I'm going to spend time by myself is because I want to become more safe within myself and my own temple. You know, so that's kind of like the two. For any of those that aren't too familiar with that, or anyone who needed a gentle reminder of that. So it's like, for some of us, and I know for most of the people around us, because we are this way, is like doing light work is like doing shadow work for most. You know, the majority is like actually asking yourself why is a big task. You know, but for some people it comes more natural. So other people, of what I've noticed, and I don't know what the percentage is, I don't know if it's more people or less people, it's just what it seems like, you know, in the majority of the world, it seems like the majority of the world wants to do the light work without the shadow work. And
that in itself is just simply imbalance.
Exactly. So then the people who are doing shadow work have a hard time doing the light work because we're so, like, witness of seeing people overdo light work and not take accountability, aka doing the shadow work, asking why, that we're like almost repulsed to it, you know, like, oh, that's fake, that's corny, it's not real, you know, it's irresponsible to like pretend that you're so okay when you're not, instead of just being like, yo, I'm not okay. But then it's also not okay for us to just be like, okay, I'm not okay, I'm going to stay not okay because I'm just like, you know, the worst person ever because I understand all of my trauma. Like, I'm so sad and mad because I get it. And it's like, okay, well, you get it and you also know it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Like, you did the best you could. All the people involved did the best they could. Even if it's trifling. Even if it's trifling, like, given their trauma. We don't know their trauma. You know what I'm saying? People are just doing the best they can. Even if it's not being present, that's the best they can because they're disassociating. Because if they did associate in the moment, then they would have to be faced with all the repressed emotions they've been repressing for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So some people can't even get present because if they do, that means they have to face everything that they've been abandoning themselves with, and then face the fact that they abandoned themselves. So it's like, even when people are doing shit, like, they are still doing their best, and it's just like, you accept people as they are. You understand. You are the one who makes the boundaries. You are the one who clears the way with who I want to be around, who I don't want to be around. Just because I don't want to be around someone doesn't mean that I don't love them. Just because I don't want to be around someone doesn't mean that I don't have, like, appreciation for them. It just might not be conducive to my growth in the moment, but I can send love from afar. You know, I can touch base with them and see them in doses, but it doesn't mean that you have to maintain these friendships and these different situations that we've had, like, the way they were when they were in these codependent, I'm feeding, you're feeding, or I'm draining and you're draining, whatever the case is.
And I feel like this goes way past just friendships and relationships. This can also be applied to family. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. Breaking generational trauma is also understanding that your parents are trying to do the best that they can with the trauma that they were given, and then unknown to them, they're also handing you trauma, mm-hmm. and you just have to work through that. You know, and just do your shadow and light work, and do be slightly understanding that they're just working with the cards they were dealt.
Absolutely. And that can be difficult, and sometimes that can bring up a lot, especially straining relationships
mm-hmm.
with people that you live with. And sometimes it's good to, like, you know, to know when to stay and to know when to go. is important. You know, to know when you're like, oh, wow, I'm running away. I'm going to go live in Bali, and I'm just going to pretend I don't have a family, and I'm healed now. You know, and it's like, there's that, and then there's like, okay, I'm going to stay here until everyone's healed. These are two extremes, you know? And then it's like, okay, I feel like I've done the best that I can. I know everyone's done the best that they could. Now it's time for me to step out of this space. I'm going to thrive. They're going to thrive. And we're going to just like, and I just need to focus on myself. And me thriving is going to innately help those around me, whether they're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
So it's like you had to take responsibility of your life at a certain point and realize when it's time to go and when it's time to stay. And like really sit with yourself. And because you can't lie to yourself. You can't lie to yourself. You can only lie to yourself for so long until like it comes and eats at you.
Until like the lies start to manifest and like the truth is just kind of like, damn, this was avoidable. Mm-hmm. All of this was avoidable if you would have just listened to your intuition and listened to yourself and realized that maybe I should have left a while ago. Maybe I should have just separated myself a while ago. Yep. And it's just like, please don't take it as it being selfish. Just take it as I'm trying to grow, and me growing is just going to attract other people trying to grow, and it's just going to do the best for the collective, you know?
Mm-hmm. And it's important, too, to realize, like, not only are we doing this, but also people around us are doing this, so we might be the one who's experiencing that. Mm-hmm. Someone may say to us, like, listen, I need to move on from this space, and we also have to be accepted and okay with that. You know, I remember when someone in the group actually had said, like, we were, like, working on a project, but I was, like, half in it, you know, and I was, like, I was half in it. I was kind of just like, you know, I was there if it was needed, but I was like not really invested. And she was like, hey, listen, I don't feel like you're invested, and I would like to like fully invest in this. And like for her saying that and listening to her intuition and following through, like I was like happy. Yeah. Like, you know, I felt my ego be like, what do you mean? Yeah. But like I once I just was like, I talked to my ego. I'm like, you're fine. She's not attacking you. It has nothing to do with your character. That's real. You know, you're not being present with that. You have no intention on investing more time in that. That is an incredible accomplishment that she had the courage and strength to speak up on that and want to pursue something more on her own. That's great. It's literally incredible. So it's like you can choose perspective, right? You can choose to look at it like that, or you can sit there and be butthurt and just be like, well, I didn't want to do with you anyway.
Right. You low-key need me, and it's just like, that's not the case. She's just completely invested in this, and you're not, and that's okay. And that's perfectly fine. There's no need to be like, she's attacking me, when in reality it's just a gentle, hey, I got it. Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. And that goes with everything. Yeah. Like, everything doesn't have to end up in flames. Yeah. Relationships, like, family interactions, work. It doesn't have to end in flames. You could just be like, yeah, it's not work for me anymore. How they react to it is how they react to it, of course, but all you can do is go into it completely respectfully and lovingly. And with the best intentions for all, like knowing why you're doing it and being solid on it too. You know, just really being solid on why you're bringing it up, what it is that you want to say. And, listening to yourself, man. Listening to yourself. It's like there's so many different cases in when we could look back in our life and be like, wow, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. What do you mean? Like, you know,
there were so many red flags. There were so many people
God.
Like, yo, run, and you're just like, nah, it's okay, even though I know it's not. And it's just like, listen.
And then there's also the opposite spectrum too, where there's certain things like when you get to a certain point too, like your intuition doesn't have to make sense to anybody. You know when you're avoiding your intuition, so that will look a little different, right? But when your intuition is like, yo. Like, there's something I say it often, actually. It's like, if your healing looks like you have to hop on one foot and rub your head and do some weird shit, like, that's your business. Listen to your intuition. Like, if you come to me and I give you a recommendation, but you feel like doing it backwards, that's your intuition. Listen to it. Like, don't take everyone's word for 100. Like, you listen to it, okay, like, see what resonates, and then adapt, consult with your intuition, and ingest the way you need to ingest whatever it is. And, it doesn't have to make sense to everyone. You are going to look crazy. people are gonna say you're irrational. People are going to be like, you're crazy, you're irrational. This doesn't make any sense. You don't know what you're doing. You're putting yourself in danger. Do you understand that you can't do it? You're not there yet. No, you don't. You're not one of those people that have those gifts. You don't even have that. All these doubts, all of these things will come, and they will, like, shoot the ones with you, literally. Like, all of that energy, all of the doubts, and that's projection. It's projection of you're out here and you're being tested. Do I really believe myself? Do I really trust my intuition? Okay, here are all the tests. Like, the universe will be like, boom, boom, boom. Here's your vision. Are you going to listen to it?
Yeah.
Are you going to talk about it? And also remember that you don't need to share it with everyone, too.
That part.
That's a big thing. You don't need to share it with anyone or everyone. You know when to keep that for yourself and when to share it for other people. Because then once you start saying it to other people, then their opinion, their judgment, their view, their eye is on it energetically. So be mindful of who you share, what you share it with, and why you're sharing it. Are you sharing it to validate yourself? Are you sharing it to, like, so for them to validate you? Are you sharing it because you're so excited and you didn't think about it? Like, I completely understand that, I completely understand that. And that's something that I'm working on as well. It's like, why do I want to share this? And should I share it? Is it to the benefit of everybody? Or is it to the benefit of one person in this moment right now? And, just making space, listening, and not feeling guilty for the times you didn't listen. Don't not listen to your intuition because you're guilty because you didn't listen to your intuition in the past. Like the same thing with like meditation things that we do. Like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna go to sleep early today because I didn't go to sleep early yesterday. Like, don't guilt yourself into not doing things just because you didn't do it the day before. You'll be just fine. Just start listening right now in this moment as you hear this. And forgive yourself for the times that you didn't. You'll only make space for more opportunities to listen to yourself when you do that.
100%, because once you don't forgive yourself, you're just causing like this vicious cycle of, why I didn't do it, so I might as well not do it again. So I didn't do it that last time, so I might as well not do it again. So it's just like, you need to start somewhere. Mm-hmm. And anywhere is a good start, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So to conclude this episode off, do you want to pull cards?
Yeah, let's do it.
Our intuition episode. I also want to see what's going on. I haven't actually opened up this book in days, and you guys know that I be opening this book up almost every day. But things have been moving and grooving. What day is it today? 24th?
Wrong person. Time is not real to me right now.
Pisces.
24.
Thank you, Kenny. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. By the Buddha. Do you remember a time in the past where you felt anger towards a lover, a child, a sibling, a parent, a coworker, or a friend, but didn't get it out in time? Instead, working out the anger, you may have ignored it or tried to cover it up, but covering up the anger didn't cure it. And today, you may still be experiencing past unresolved anger. And the longer you continue to go without expressing this anger, the angrier you will end up feeling. Unresolved anger is like a bright red neon light, constantly flashes in your mind. Try as you might to ignore it, but you can't. Attempt to shut it off, and you won't succeed. Soon the anger may overtake your life, casting its fiery red glow over everything and everybody that you can come in contact with. Although unresolved anger is based in the past you can't change, you can still do something about it in the present. Talk to someone who is not involved with your past anger, or write down how you feel in your journal, and that can help you express it. These simple acts of letting out your rage are positive steps towards letting your anger go. Affirmation. Today, I will reflect on an incident that makes me angry. Acknowledging is this bad feeling, then expressing it can help me let it go. So for whoever needs to hear that, there you go.
I dropped a card by foot, and I'm really curious.
Oh, and it's like down too. What is it?
King of Swords.
Ooh. Oh, okay.
Right. in all its glory. Like, all 3 cards that I got were swords.
Right. And then that is also about, like, thinking, harboring, holding in.
Yep. Like, the first card that I got was, I do believe this is the 9 of Swords. And it was just kind of like, release it. Let it go.
What do you feel from the cards that came out? What is your intuition telling you?
My intuition is telling me that my choice for heart was a solid one. Because I do tend to hold a lot of things and not let them go. That's my Aquarius moon. There she go. Just holding it, not letting it go, being standoffish, not expressing when I should be and when I need to and when it feels right for me. You know what I mean? It's just time to let it go. That's it. I'm excited for this poll.
So then this might be applying. Maybe something you need to do. Maybe an exercise that you do. I have another person that came in mind that I'm going to send it to. So I ask Spirit in a good way. Want me to pull a card for the collective, for everybody who is listening now and who will listen in the future, for what needs to be focused on today, or whenever it is that you hear it. Music. This card, just music. This card just steady comes out like every time I pull this deck. It's just music. 32, number 32, and it's yellow, solar plexus, and orange, sacral. So it's all about believing in yourself and creating and destroying. What else? Self-discipline. 41. Root and heart. Which is really interesting, because just look at this other page.
Oof.
Yep. So I wrote this down yesterday. You want to talk about intuition?
Yeah.
So I wrote this down yesterday, and it says root and discipline, literally. For those who can see, you can see. For those who are hearing, just trust my voice when I say it. It says root, underline, discipline, underline, underline. So whoever's listening to this, the 3 messages that are coming out is find an expressive way to either listen, to dance to create music, apply self-discipline, and communicate confidently. Trusting within yourself, trusting within your root, that you have the capability. You are safe to be disciplined. You have it within you, the stability to keep a routine and to keep it going. Have the compassion, what it takes to get there. You're not going to have that overnight, but you can achieve that. To trust yourself, to create music in whatever way that makes sense for you, whether you sing, you dance, however it comes out for you. To create music, listen to music, tune in with music. But the music, not only of music that you can create, but also just the music of what is, like going outside and listening to the music of the streets and of, you know, if you live in a city, of listening to the music of the streets of the city, or going to a park and listening to the music of nature and just listening to music, going to the beach, listening to music of the ocean, and communicating the things that you need to communicate to move forward, to free yourself. And whatever that makes sense for you is music, self-discipline, and communication. So use your intuition as well. The numbers are 32, 41, 33. So thank you, everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much, Alex, for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And yeah, that has been listen to your intuition. So listen. Listen
on
to
that.
it. Listen to it. Listen to yourself, okay? No matter what anyone or anything that is said or done, consult with yourself. You know what's best for you. Yes.
And that's on period.
Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Goodbye.